So PLP presents Bread Magazine with our special guest, Will of the State. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got that name.
Okay, so yes, my name is Will of the State. I am an entertainer, so I sing, dance, act, but I'm also a former diplomat. So my name, Will of the State, it comes from my former time with the State Department, and it also kind of means the state of the people. So like state of mind, state of being, state of the art, and of course, state of art. So right now, I just released a new music video and song called hashtag Millennial Focus, and I also did another song called Bon Bon, and I'm producing music for different projects right now, and that's what I'm doing in a nutshell.
All right. So the next question is, has the pandemic affected you at all or has it made your career better?
Oh, the pandemic has done both. I would say it's definitely stalled some projects when it comes to promotion, for sure. It stalled a few things, but on the beneficial side of it, it's gotten it opened up opportunities and got me back to my artistic side. So I got to make a lot more music. I got to work on different projects. I got to redo and revisit some things that I didn't before, including this new music video hashtag Millennial Focus is actually shines a light on the pandemic, social distancing, all the Black Lives Matter protests, all these things, these important issues, and really come bring me back to my own artistry. So um, it's been twofold. It's been difficult, but we've been managing.
I told everybody it's really been good for me because I have a record label and a PR company. And I'm the PR and co-owner of Bread Magazine. So
Mhm.
it's able to let me interview more people and promote more people and basically make my IG go viral from 15K to 34K in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Um, I did my first trailer bit for a new web series that's coming out. So it was exciting. I've been in the industry for 25 years and they finally got me on screen. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. But is definitely been interesting. I tell everybody this is the best way for artists to promote themselves, get themselves out there, put themselves in different groups, promote their video, get their social media up, get a good
Hmm.
campaign going. Because whenever the promoters come back to basically booking you for their next event or their next show, one thing I learned is by me being in the industry for over 25 years is back in the day when I first started out, it was like if you had a buzz in your neighborhood and you doing a little something on internet radio, you cool. And the promoters would, you know, book you for a show if you have a little buzz. Versus
Hmm.
now, everything is based on social media. Even though you're number one on the radio, but you have 500 followers versus someone that has 20,000 followers, even if they're not on the radio, the likelihood is the producers or the promoters will book the person that has 100,000 followers because they figure, yeah, you number one on the radio, but nobody's supporting you on social media. So,
It's an entire different game. It's an
yeah,
entire
so I
different game
basically
now.
yeah, I basically learned. They'll say, how's your social media? How's your Spotify? How's your radio plays? How's your Twitter? How's your Instagram? Like a whole different dynamic now versus, back then, if you having a local buzz and dominating certain cities versus now you're able to stream it on Spotify and listen to it all across the country when before, they didn't have Spotify and LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, like now. So it's really changed a lot in that.
Your social media is on point now with this pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was able to interview some cool people
Yeah.
with my magazine like Young LA. I did Sean Denali from Fast and the Fierce. I did Judge Gino from Personal Injury Court. I have celebrity chef Robert Stew on my PR roster. He was on Marriage Boot Camp and he's on Food Network, so he's one of my personal clients. I have reality TV star Soul Law. That was on Ivana Fix My Life and the Keisha Cole show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I interviewed like Paul Tutt, that was with Rick Ross and them before he died from COVID. And who else did I interview that was real cool? Um, it was just, like a lot of people that I interviewed that was really cool because Sean Denali, when I first interviewed him, how it was really cool was he basically was in Australia on the set of Fast and the Furious. So that was cool.
Wow.
And I interviewed like two people from Empire. One of my co-stars in the web series that I'm part of, Jeff Baylock, he's actually in the whole season 2 of Empire, and Joe Rodriguez is actually in the whole segment of Empire. So I was able to interview both of them with some major magazine appearances coming up from some other people.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah, it seems like the pandemic has definitely opened up a lot of opportunities for different people. I got um hooked up with a documentary on a a very famous African American photographer. His name is C. Smith. He's photographed everything, and I actually got on board with Pamela DePella. She is an actress on The Young and the Restless, and she's making this film, and she brought me on to do the soundtrack for the documentary,
that's
and
cool.
it worked. And I also did the design and the styling for the documentary as well. So that was kind of different, stepping into different territories when it comes to music as well as fashion design. So I was very fortunate, and I met some interesting people like my consultant Regina Collins, who introduced us. So it's been very good. It's been very good time, despite the stress of it all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have a unique look. What was with the look? What
Uh,
made you come
you
out the
need
box
look.
and
You
have
need
that
look.
look?
So I have this handlebar mustache. People notice that a lot, but it's a family thing. So my uncles, they have their own facial hair. My uncle has a big handlebar mustache like me. My dad had these big old mutton chops. So it's kind of like it it's kind of like an ode to them, a montage of my family, rocking like these big handlebars. It's
That's it.
like traditional dandy type of culture too, because my dad's side of the family is from the South Carolina. We have this dandy culture, like suits, ties, really crazy facial hair. Take a lot of pride.
That's where I'm based at. I'm actually in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what does it mean in your craft for you to be real every day and deliver to all the people about the Black Lives Matter and everything? What does that mean to you to be real every day and deliver?
I think it's definitely practice what you preach, and also investigate, because a lot of people, say a lot of different things about like defunding the police and all these different uh, proposals to fix a problem. But, the problem is really big, it's super systemic, so getting involved in local government is so important, and it's local, state, and federal. So you need to educate yourself on your candidates and what they would do for you and the community. So that's a way that I try to keep myself informed, is try to be involved with local politics and not just the federal politics. It's not just you know the Trump supporters or whatever. It's bigger than that. you
Yeah,
know
I really wish, like some of the politicians, The sad part about our America today is some of the people that actually could do something for everyone, they don't get voted in, and people don't see that as a necessity. Versus, the people that's really not worth a crap and that will hurt our economy, they're basically, like they vote for them. Like for instance, a couple of years ago, before Trump, and Obama, they had a guy. He was in Ohio. He was like governor of Ohio or something like that. I think his name was Kasich or something like that.
Yeah, Governor Kate. I
Yeah,
grew up in Ohio.
I felt like he was the best candidate because statistically and on paper, he had it set up where everyone had health care. He had the lowest unemployment rate in the state. He had it set up where if you was a single mom and you needed daycare to go to work, you could get it. And I feel if he could have implemented that, in his whole state, he could have did that nationwide. Like that could have
But,
been, a benefit for
but
every.
it's the same thing that you said about music, though.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's
yeah.
like you don't have that media presence. If you don't have that name recognition,
Mhm.
you're not going to get anywhere. There's a reason why a reality TV star is in the White House right now.
That's
You know,
it.
the
That's it.
media has taken
It's
over.
it.
You
That's
know,
it.
and people need to really understand the process, why these people being able to be elected, and trying to get rid of, we need term limits. We need term limits on all levels of government, right?
That's
So it,
and that's really true. Like I don't like, I'm Cherokee Indian, but I'm not saying nothing bad about Kamala Harris. But in the beginning, when she was running for president, she didn't really say nothing to help the blacks in that scenario. She didn't really say nothing to like motivate us. Like, did she just say that, by her going against us saying this versus now that she's
Mhm.
running for vice president, she's like, I'm all for the blacks, I'm all for the urban community. It's like it's a whole, turnaround versus, like you said, it's all about social media. Like, beforehand when it was about her, it was, getting the whites to vote for her and putting her in office versus now that she's with Biden that was president, vice president with Obama for so long. She's like, like coming towards, the LGB community and the blacks to say, hey, I'm one of y'all and this how I can help when, in the beginning it was like it wasn't any help versus now it's trying to be all the help,
um,
like I'm not saying like what
you
Trump.
is it, do you think it's pandering at that point? That's what you're asking. It's like,
Yeah,
are you pandering to the community? Is that your true beliefs? I
yeah,
mean, even in my new video, hashtag millennial focus, I put shine a light on this
yeah.
because if politicians lie like big businesses, they can make a dime, they're all for it. You never know what they're actually presenting, and they use these systems with social media, and and they drive a message, but you never know if that's actually what they're going to do when they get elected. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. You know,
I really think someone like Michelle Obama or something like that would actually do good there because my mom works at the school and she been at the school now for like 20 years. She said Michelle implemented the best policy for everyone in the country. Like she had it where they had healthy meals as far as, wheat bread and fruits and vegetables and fresh garden stuff,
the
and yeah,
Let's Move
yeah.
campaign.
Versus now, that Trump's wife is over it. They went back to white bread and no vegetables and this, and that. You have to look at, not saying one is better than the other, but the world's just,
The
you know,
world's
changed with different stuff. Is really changed, versus, like not saying what Barack did was good or what Trump did is bad, but at the same time, we didn't have like
no. I
like
work with both administrations. You know that, right? I worked with
Yeah.
both the Obama administration and I worked with the Trump administration as a
Right.
diplomat.
And
And
you
I
know,
met Vice President Biden and
that's cool.
secretaries of states, etc. There is a stark difference between one administration to another,
That's
and
it. That's
and,
it.
and it's so deep. It's so deep.
What people don't understand is, like, I think Barack could have did more and Trump could have did more, but they have to look at, they only can do what is allowed for them to do. If
Mhm.
everybody don't vote for this, then they can't do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the same time, like, when Barack was in there, like, not to say it wasn't a lot of Black Lives Matter stuff, but it just wasn't as bad now to shed light now like it was. You know, like, everybody remember Barack, but you didn't hear like a lot of bad stuff on TV about him at all. You didn't hear all his negativity coming up from his background out in the public, like, like now, like people who he was affiliated with. You only heard like a couple of bad things that you could remember when he was president, was like when the boy shot the church up in Charleston and stuff like that. You didn't
I,
hear of those.
I would disagree with you on that. I feel like you heard a lot of that stuff when he was president. I think the difference is between now and before was the fact that people have the time to tune into media and engage more. So,
Now,
like the
yeah,
Black Lives Matter, like because it's a pandemic, they're at home. People are paying attention to the news more. They're paying attention to the TV more. I
yeah,
mean, that stuff was there before. It was all there before. It
it
was
was
really
there.
bad. It was
Like
so
it was,
disrespectful.
yeah, like you said, it was there, but it's just coming to light now. Like, everybody said, yeah, the crime was down like when the pandemic first hit, but now that it's over, it's like everything broke loose.
Mhm.
Like now we could get out the house. Now we're gonna commit crimes. Now we can do this and do that, when they was kind of like scared of doing it. You
Well,
know,
the pandemic is still very much alive,
I'm
and people
telling
need to be really, cautious about their behavior because it's spreading crazy, and we're heading into the flu season too.
you.
So it's really dangerous time, and that's one of the things to answer your question to stay real every day. I mean, you have to keep take care of yourself. Take
Understand.
care of yourself, and
I work at the hospital and I had it for 31 days. And what I learned is, people, what I learned in society these days, I think it should have been handled a little differently, is because the reason why people are dying is because they can't get the proper treatment that they need, for this. Like when I had it, if you over 104 temperature, you're automatically dead. But thank God I didn't. But I had 108 temperature for 4 days. I went to the hospital. They tested me for COVID. They said, we know that you have COVID, but we have to wait for your test results to come back. But we cannot let you come to the hospital because your breathing is okay. So on the fifth day, when I actually went to the grocery store to get Gatorade, I passed out in the parking lot. They had to call the rescue squad. So that made me go to the hospital, which I was in a coma for 4 days. And then when I came out of the coma, I couldn't eat, couldn't taste, couldn't drink, couldn't do anything. Lost about 60 pounds in a month. And it was just up and down, like no symptoms, like the breathing was fine other than the fever. And then, when I came out of it, it was that, I was saying, what if I wasn't a nurse and I could, like, I gave myself the IVs, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if my body wasn't strong enough to fight off that temperature? Like a lot of older people wasn't like strong enough to get to the doctor, and they couldn't get the proper care because they didn't have the breathing problems. They had like one out of the four symptoms.
do you know how you got it?
Yes, I got it from someone that worked actually at the hospital. We had 16 out of 20 people at the hospital that like basically had it. And she, like, my boss actually spreaded it to other people. And it
So you
actually,
were working at the hospital as a nursing, as a working health professional. You ended up getting COVID yourself working. essentially.
And I
And
couldn't.
and what the crazy thing about it is, like even now in politics, like it should monies and support should be going to out to people like you, people, healthcare professionals who are putting their lives literally on the line. You were in a coma.
That's it. I,
You were in a coma. You were sick for over a month. You could have very well died.
yeah, and
How would you be doing your job?
yeah, and anything like over 104, you physically brain dead, but my body
Mhm.
fought it off, and I had 108 temperature, which resulted in my cousin dying, her mom dying, her kids dying, people in my neighborhood. Like the lady died, the lady's husband, the lady's daughter, and her grandkids, and it was all because. Yeah, they had a fever, but they didn't have the breathing problems. So the hospital didn't have room for them to like basically be in there. Like my boss had it for 51 days and she wasn't admitted into the hospital even though she had a fever and she couldn't taste and she couldn't eat, but her breathing was okay, which later led to problems after COVID where her having pneumonia in the lungs and all kinds of stuff.
And and these are the types of stories like it can't it affects so many people.
That's
It's not,
it.
it's real people, it's real lives. This is not
Like
to be taken lightly.
that's it.
People
My
need to be taking this seriously. How do
yeah.
you feel about people walking around with no mask and stuff? Like,
I basically, it makes me upset because of the fact that I had it and I experienced it, and it was the scariest thing that I ever experienced in my life. And I'm a 9-time cancer survivor. I think that that's way worse than chemotherapy and radiation put together.
mhm,
And I feel like people should wear masks just because masks save lives, and I had to learn that the hard way. And I feel that
mhm,
um some of the most dramatic stuff I seen was during COVID, as far as like when my cousin and her mom and them died, her kids had to go to foster care for 3 months because my family couldn't get to New York to get the kids. They literally had shadow graves with bodies in them, and you claim them, and they have the numbers on them, and they dig the bodies up with the numbers on them. Like I seen it on TV. I didn't believe it till we
mhm.
actually with our own eyes, and that was really awful for your loved one to just be in a grave with 8 other people and plain dirt, and you digging them up by the number. Like that's how serious it is. Like people not taking it serious, but based on the experiences, is you can't breathe, you got fevers, you got chills, you can't eat. In this one thing that I learned about it is it flares up stuff 10 times worse than what you had before. It's kind
Of
of
course,
yeah,
if you're sick, you
yeah,
are more susceptible to
that's
everything.
it.
Anything that's in your body can make it a lot worse than it
That's
was
it.
before.
Pretty
It's
much like, but
and
the thing with me was like I have gout real bad, but the thing with me was it made my neuropathy act up so bad that the gout was okay, but it made everything numb and made it to the point where I just stand up and fall down. Like
mm,
no ifs, ands, or buts. You just walk and just fall and don't even know that you're falling. And it made that kind of like out of control. And it wasn't even before, like before the virus, it start happening like afterwards.
yeah.
Like you get tested, it's kind of like it brought stuff to light like afterwards. And that's what people
And
don't.
people need to know this type of awareness, all in all. And that's why I try to preach in my music, especially with my last single, hashtag millennial focus. There's so many issues, there's so many problems, there's so many things that are not exactly seen, in the forefront that people need to know about, and then they will change their own actions.
And
So it's
like
getting
I do
information. So
kids should go to school, but not like physically at school. I
mm,
think virtual school is okay, but everybody is not capable of doing virtual school. You know what I'm saying?
and if
Like,
they're not capable of doing it, then the politicians need to make it so they're capable of
they're
doing it.
doing exactly,
Supplying internet, supplying the computers,
exactly.
giving them support that they
And that's
need.
true because
Yeah.
my little niece is she's 6 years old, and she went to school. She was going to school 2 days a week, doing virtual 3 days a week. They end up having 15 cases, so they shut the whole school down. Now they're doing virtual school, but her mom went to the school, and then I went there like, hey, how do you expect for her to do virtual school? Do y'all have internet, whatever, whatever? No, we don't have it available, but some of these parents that still out of work and stuff don't have the money to buy like hotspots, don't have the means to hook that up for their kids, and
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, the government is spending billions of dollars to bail out businesses instead of
and they could
giving
be
the money
doing,
to the
yes,
people in order to, support themselves so they
that's
can survive.
and they should.
They're more about the survival of these businesses than the survival of the people, which is a big problem.
And
You know.
that's true. That's true because I feel like if everybody got a tablet at school, to go online, that everybody should have got like a hotspot where they can log on to the internet to, get online. You know what I'm saying? Like they should have them even in a group, like at a library or something. They should, like even if it's online, if that's the case, have certain meeting places where the kids can come to learn together, but not like sit there together, because some people have a little slower learning, and then some kids are smarter than the parents, and then it's just crazy because if I want to have a hot spot from college, because I'm in college again, it was like my niece wanna had a way to do her school every day, just because she's in elementary school and they didn't provide any kind of Wi-Fi or internet for her to do her schoolwork. Like you can't get mad at the parents and say anything to the parents about their kids not going to school when you didn't provide them proper, material and proper utensils for them to, for them to go. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
big problems there. Big problems there. I just hope that people learn from this in the sense of we weren't prepared for all of this at
No,
all,
no.
and it also shines light to the issues that we have in our own systems, the issues that we have in healthcare that still needs to be fixed. I lived all over the world, like, and I've had experiences that I couldn't walk here. I had a really bad inflammation in my ankle, and I had to move to the Dominican Republic, and that's when I actually got decent health care, was overseas versus in the United States, and that's a problem. Now, if I can find better healthcare elsewhere, versus within the United States, that's a problem.
and, and,
Um,
and that's really true too. Like I feel they should be like Canada and give everybody health care. Well, me, basically, nobody in my family ever had cancer, but I had cancer 9 times. I had a stroke. I went blind. I couldn't hear. I lost 394 pounds regularly without surgery. And then I caught COVID. And then when I caught cancer again, it was like in the particular state that I was at the moment, they was like, hey, it's a pre-existing condition. They basically saying we don't care if you die. Like, hey, that's a pre-existing condition and you can't get insurance for it. Versus I had to like leave that state, go to another state, get the health
mhm.
insurance, come back there for, for the treatment. And that's where a lot of people stand, too, for the COVID. They basically say, I can't afford to go to the doctor to get treatment. I can't afford
Well,
what,
it sounds like you're one hell of a survivor, because yeah, you beat all of that and you're still working, you're still grinding, still doing your media stuff. And I'm excited to see what you have going on for you in the future. And I think all of this makes you stronger. This is part of your story now. It's just phenomenal, and you get to put this into your work, which is awesome.
I
You know.
see. We have some major stuff coming as far as the Underground Music Awards in Mississippi on November the 28th. We have A lot of different opportunities coming up for, independent artists and such as yourself and a lot of different stuff. But like you said, people don't the thing that I learned in this industry is the industry is really a cutthroat thing and it shouldn't be. It's like it's so many indie artists and so many different kinds of artists and so much stuff to do that everybody should want to work together and help each other, which is so much hatred. Like
Mm-hmm.
person's hating on what you doing. This person's hating on what you doing. But if you don't have any haters, then you not doing something right. You know what I'm saying? It's just based on it's enough work out there for everybody. Like if one person's working together, then if this person got this contact and this person doesn't, then you should be able to work together to basically, help each other versus,
Uh-huh.
like I dealt with that in my line of work. Like one person say, "Oh, this person's fake. This person can't get it done," or da 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 da, versus you got somebody else over here that's really not doing nothing, but they getting credit for what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? I learned that if more black businesses in general pull together to support each other and help each other, the world would be a better place. Just
And,
because,
and, and that's why I know that you're going to promote my music.
yeah.
And we're trying to support each other and promote each other. It can be the smallest thing or the biggest thing. Support of one another is huge. In this industry for sure. And
That's
if we do that more instead of knocking down each other all the time,
it.
I think we're see, more progress and have a bigger voice, not just within our own industry, but in other industries too.
One thing about my team, my actual team, I actually work with over 800 clients, but I only have like three official people that's actually signed with my PR company. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Contract. So one of them is celebrity chef Robert Stu. He is a real mentor to me and a motivational person because he has a nonprofit organization called the Transitional Kitchen, which he goes around and helps the young kids learn how to cook and learn something positive, and this is nonprofit organization versus he has a comic book and he's a motivational speaker. And then on top of that,
Based out of where is he based out of?
Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Um, he
I
was
was like, if he was on the East Coast, I've been like, oh, I need a new chef. Hey,
you need to get him because
yeah.
um he was on season 16 of Marriage Boot Camp. He currently goes with Michelle. Um,
Okay.
and then he was the first, and a lot of people don't shed light to what the black people do, but he was the first black chef to ever win Cutthroat Kitchen
Mm-hmm.
on Food Network. He was on Cutthroat Kitchen, he was on Guys Grocery Games, he was on Supermarket Stakeout,
Mm-hmm.
he was on The Greatest Food Trucks, versus now he has his own comic book and his own signature sticks and um and he's just real motivational as far as when I first met him I kind of let him know like, hey, I always been in the music industry, I don't have experience in working with a chef, and he
Uh-huh.
basically said we can build this together and you have connections with radio and TV and setting up interviews so I can be on those radio stations and
Mm-hmm.
industry, need chefs for record label release parties and caterings and
It's
camp.
great that you have that type of relationship. For
Yeah.
real.
And
That's rare to find. If you feel so confident in your client like that, that's very nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like basically it was like, a lot of people will say maybe because he's on TV he act this way or no. He's like
Mm-hmm.
home like, hey, I believe in making this work. If I succeed, you succeed. Like we'll get to this together. And that's the way that it should be. If I see an opportunity to you, I should be able to present that to you and let you know like, hey, this is what's going on versus, like not trying to
Mm-hmm.
tear a person down from different opportunities.
Uh,
Yeah.
before we wrap up here, I want to tell people that they should check out my two music videos on YouTube
Yeah.
at the handle at Will of the State. There's a the music video hashtag Millennial Focus that just dropped last week, and the music video Bon Bon that was filmed in Cameroon, and it's that on the beach, and there is very international type of flair, and I think people will like it. And Millennial Focus is definitely more political. It's filled with subliminal messages, and it talks about social distancing and a whole bunch of different stuff that the stereotypes and the struggles of the millennial generation and how we're presented in the world and what we're doing about it. So I encourage everyone to take a look at those. Again, all of my handles are at Will of the State, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that stuff. And please go and check out those two music videos and support and support and promote social justice through music.
That's right. That's right. And you heard it first here with POP Network and Bread Magazine with our special guest, Will of the State. Um, and he just basically told you all his social media links so that y'all can get with him and check out his um, Facebook and Instagram. And um, I'll be, talking to you soon and hopefully working with you on some future projects. And thank you for being a part of Bread Magazine. Make sure whenever you get the link to like and subscribe it and share it with everyone. This interview will be available on Bread TV, which is on Roku, Smile World TV, which is on Roku, and YouTube as well.
Oh,
So,
sounds great.
yeah. So
All
I'm
right.
just
It was
look,
great speaking with you today. Thank you so much.
I followed you on Instagram. It'll come up as Perfect Legacy Promotions, and
Mhm.
I'm definitely glad that you could be a part of the interview and look forward to working with you on some future projects.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. All right.